We're going to move on to perhaps what is the most important piece of using a bibliographic citation manager tool. We're going to see how Zotero works with a Word document as you're writing and citing. So I'm going to open a Word document and bring it over to my screen. So just give me a moment. So in this Word document, you can tell that I really don't have very much writing done. I actually have some footnotes in here currently, and I'm going to go ahead and sort of delete those before I show you about adding these. So as with pretty much all of these citation managers, there are options to cite from multiple citation styles. So I'm going to show you how you can select that in the Word document. When you open your Word document after you've downloaded Zotero, you should see Zotero appearing in kind of the top gray area of your Word document. I am going to click on Zotero, and now in the upper left I can see the options to add edit citation, add edit my bibliography, and also document preferences, refresh, and unlink. The two pieces that I personally use the most are the document preferences, and this is normally when I'm getting started on a writing assignment. And then we're going to use the add edit citation piece a lot. So first of all, in document preferences, I will click on that, and it's loading another window, so I'm going to drag that over. It's asking me to select the citation style that I want to use for this specific paper. In here, I have a few citation styles listed, but there are literally hundreds of citation styles you could choose from. If you need a style that's not showing up in your window, you can click on Manage Styles. And then you can see these, but you can click on Get Additional Styles and literally search for a style that you want. And I'm just gonna search for this, which is definitely not a style that you want for history, but I'm gonna choose this IEEE with URL. And now I have that in my window. I'm gonna go back up, scrolling in this window, and you can tell that I have some Chicago Manual of Style for 16th edition. It actually looks like I have 17th edition as well, and I'm going to select that one with the full note. So that is going to be the style that I'm going to use for this particular paper. You also have an option about whether or not to include URLs of paper articles in your references. I'm going to leave that for myself checked on. And I'm just going to then close this window and get back to my Word document. So I've done the document preferences, and now I'm going to demonstrate just how you can add and edit citations. And while I'm doing that, I'm just going to move my Zotero window off to the side so it's a little bit easier. So while I'm doing this exercise, we're going to be pretending that this paper is sort of more robust than it actually is, or that I'm actually, citing from very specific things. But I'm going to pretend right now that I want to put in a citation after immigrants, that perhaps I've paraphrased or I've done a direct quote. I'm going to place my cursor after immigrants, and I'm going to click up here, Add Edit Citation. And at this point, it is going to bring up this little red bar where you can keep it at the red bar, or you can choose a classic view, which is a much bigger area for adding or editing your citation. Some individuals like this because it's kind of easier to see all the options that you can choose from. I'm just going to go cancel for now and show the red bar. So I'm going to go back to add or edit citation. And at this point, I'm going to look for a citation. I might want to do that by author. I might want to do it by some word that's in there. So I'm going to search for e-retail. That was something that we brought into our selection. and it's bringing up the item out of my Zotero library. I'm going to select this, and if I wanted to refer to a specific page number, I could just enter the page number. You'll notice that it put in the P period automatically. I'll hit return or enter, and it has placed a superscript 1 in the spot where I had my cursor. And if I go down here, it has input the footnote for this item. I'm going to go over to infrastructure, and I'm just going to add another citation. This time I'm going to search for Chinese local elites, and I'm going to put a page number, but I'm also going to say, oh, what I'm citing or paraphrasing from 2 different articles or authors referred to this, so I'm going to also choose another article. So let's see, I'm going to do this item. So it was nice, it picked it up for me even though I didn't type in the. I'm going to enter that and that item. So I have sort of those 2 items associated. You can see it here. So the second one, it's separated by the semicolon, and that one is put here. Now the really nice thing about something like Zotero is that if I continue to work on this paper, maybe I switch things up, maybe I add something else kind of between those citations and I need to cite that. And sometimes it can be sort of a pain when you have a numbered citation style in particular to keep things organized. However, in Zotero, I'm going to add a citation between number 1 and 2. And the Trail of Gold and Silver. Let me just put another page number. So this is by Smith, number 2. So now you will notice that the Smith citation is put between 1 and 3, and it now becomes number 2. The one that was 2 becomes number 3. So those are my footnotes. And then if I click up at the upper left, add edit bibliography, that took just a little bit of time, and it inserted it in a slightly weird way. I think because of where I had my cursor. So let me do this. Sorry about that. That looked really funky. So these are the 4 citations that I've already cited from. And remember, one of these items had 2 of the citations. So that's why we have 4, even though we have 3 numbers. I may have to do some slight editing in order to separate those out. But again, it's going to keep track of what you have used. And normally, of course, this would be on like a page at the very end, but because this is my whole sort of 1.5 sentence paper, it came up at the top. So that's just a really nice feature, and I think really one of the main selling points of using these citation bibliographic managers, because you aren't just sort of keeping data or information about documents just because. Of course, it can be nice to manage your research, but ultimately you can come back to it and you can use it for the writing and citing instead of doing everything manually. I do want to say, though, it's really important to, when you come back to Zotero, that this data is going to be clean and accurate. If this data isn't, when you bring it over into your Word document, you're going to notice it. So I always recommend to clean it up in here instead of trying to clean it up in your paper afterwards. And then you kind of don't have to worry about it going forward.